We're going to have our speakers begin in 5 minutes.
Send my babies to you. Where your babies? All my babies came up here already. Can you just blink real fast for me? Okay, you too, baby. I like the lashes. Those are cute. I just want to get the
I need you to come up to the front in time from presenters. We're going to start in 4 minutes. Everyone, I need you to come down from the stairs. The actual speakers will be presenting on the stairs. Please come to the seat. Everyone find a table, please. The presenters will be starting in 3 minutes.
my bitch.
Oh, that's how you be this wrong?
This is my bitch. Yeah, I took it. I don't want to bring up with me.
Is that shit spilled? Oh, okay, now music, That's why your damn picture's so damn blurry. Because you keep twisting this, bro. And his IBS is not on. Look, his IBS is an extra thing. You get on my nerves. Nigga, pick up more than me. I was, bro. They just so disrespectful. What you call me? What you call me? What's my name?
Taking a break. Oh, yeah? Yeah. Hey, what's going on later? All right. Yeah. Just a little break thing. Yeah.
Hi, can everyone please move to the center of the room? We're going to present right here at the stairway, and so if you can come to the center of the room, you can hear clear and get the information better. Please move to the center of the room.
Gracias. Estamos llamando para que por favor se sienten cerca en las mesas de adelante. Thank you, and for everybody, just Miss Washington say, if you please bring, come in here close to the podium, please. It will be easier for us as speakers to talk to you, and it will be easier for you to listen what I'm going to say. Thank you. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ms. Washington, the Family and Community Liaison here at Southwest High School. Thank you for attending tonight's event, A Woman's Strength. Tonight's forum we will cover topics like domestic violence, dating out, wellness, and health. So we're going to get started first. We would like to thank Mr. Joe Brown, who came out with Stand Out Smoking. So we can come up. Stand Out Smoking has been supporting Southwest High School now for 2 events, the men's forum and the women's forum. She supported us with entertainment and concessions. So thank you very much, Stand Out Smoking. Love to partner with Stand Out Smoking to further prevention, smoking prevention, drug prevention. And now, Ms. Florida Bastille, 14 years with the health department will be coming up and speaking to us about health and wellness.
Thank you. I have a question for you, all of you. Tell me how many sugar is in here? How many sugar? How many calories? 40. Who loves this? I cannot say the name because I'm working for the health department. It looks like something like that, right? Yeah. And I like it too, not only this one, the other ones too. And what happens is, what do we put in our body is whatever happened to us. Who can tell me what is this?
A newspaper.
Newspaper. Can you read what it says in the
Help yourself. Help yourself.
help yourself? Two things. One, the things that we have around.
Yep,
Food,
you just
we
moved
have
to
a lot
the-
of things, a lot of choices.
Okay, and what
If
can
we
we do?
have or we don't have money, is too many.
And what has your-
So my message is very short for you. You are young. I'm not young anymore. We are many here that we are not young anymore. But you have the choice to take care of your body. There's nobody else. For real. I say, oh, don't do this, don't do that, don't eat this, or eat this. And I say, yeah, I know. But I went to my friends and I didn't do it. Today, just few days ago, like less than 1 month, I have a surgery. And why? Because I didn't take care of my body, and I'm working for the health department. So what happened with you, with us, is only you and nobody else. Believe me, nobody else is going to suffer later. You had the choice to take care of yourself. What do you need? It's simple. Resources, information. I'm working for the health department in the information program. Information. If you don't know, we have resources here. We have resources here about different programs. One, Medusa. I don't know what it is, but she told me. We have different programs, and many of you, or the majority, you use your phone, right? You use your cell phone. And you say, I don't want to read the newspaper, I don't want to take care of, listen to the news or watch the news, because I have the same cell phone. What about you don't have battery? And you cannot use your cell phone. But if you know about resources, so, like I say, I want to be short. My message, one, take care of yourself. Get resources. Get resources. You are going to be in the real life in less than 3 or maybe 2 or maybe 1 year. You need resources. You need to find out about resources in the community. We have information in our community. It's not a joke. When you are by yourself, because you might be one time by yourself, you need resources. So today the invitation is go around to my colleagues and find out resources and take care of yourself. Thank you.
What's his name?
Like this one?
Like, just scoot over when I'm trying to take
Thank you so much for giving us the information. If anyone's interested in information regarding your health, the health department is always available. Gloria or someone else will always be welcome to come out and speak with you some more about health, your health needs or any questions you have. And we do still have the Arkansas Minority Health Unit here if anyone would like any screening. They're still here for about 30 more minutes if you need screening. Now we'll move to Ms. Jennifer Hall, who will be, aka Coffee, who will be presenting to us today in regards to domestic violence and dating violence.
Hello, everyone. Has anybody in this room seen me up here before? We have, okay. Anybody else? Yeah, I know it's more. Maybe y'all don't remember because I'm not all dressed like I normally do when I come up here and speak about prevention. So I'm the one that comes up here and speaks to you guys in the health classes about prevention. Most of the time I'm talking about violence prevention, and I come up there with, how many remember the guy that comes in and shows all those gruesome videos of accidents and what bad choices look like? Okay, so you remember some of it. So I was just here probably about 3 weeks ago in health class. And actually today I just left Central High School speaking to them about violence prevention. Usually when I go to schools, I'm talking specifically about violence and young people and how to prevent that, the type of videos and video games that you're playing, and also music and stuff like that, and streaming that we do, and how that leads to us being really desensitized about the music and stuff the violence and stuff that goes on in our community. Today, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, because today my focus is going to be specifically on dating violence, prevention, and also just choices and things that as a lot of young women deal with. So I know you guys had a program last month that dealt with men. How many of y'all came to that, young men, that came to that program? Okay. And the focus then probably was on what young men go through and the violence and stuff that, preventing violence with our young men in the community. Today I'm going to focus on our young ladies and how to prevent dating violence. I know some of y'all, most of y'all are probably dating, and what that looks like when it comes to being a young woman. So the reason why she said my name was Jennifer, you probably remember me as Jennifer Hall when I come and talk here. That's because I have my professional hat on. Today I have my poetry hat on, my community hat on, and I go by Coffee in the community. So that's why she said my name is Coffee. I actually write a lot of books, and these are my books up here. So before I get into my poem, I'm gonna tell y'all about the books and stuff that I write so you can understand the work that I do. So, first book I ever wrote was a book called Medusa, Reflections of an Angry Black Girl. It was just about my experience growing up in Oakland, California, and then moving here to Little Rock, Arkansas as a young black woman. And I'm going to kind of give y'all that experience, my experience. Not to say it's only young black girls that go through this. I know it's diverse. A lot of people go through some of the same things that I've gone through. So I made it into a book. I also have 2 books of poetry here because I love poetry. That's how I began to express myself and talk about some of that trauma. And then I have a book that's specifically geared toward teachers and professionals. It's called Impact, Trauma-Informed Approaches for Engaging Our Youth, because I know that a lot of people suffer from a lot of the same trauma I went through. And if you're a professional, if you're a teacher, if you are a healthcare professional, whatever your profession is, if you're dealing with the public, especially if you're dealing with young people, you have to be able to deal with people who have possibly and potentially dealt with a lot of trauma. So, that being said, before I go into my poem, I want to give y'all some statistics, then I'm going to go into my poem, and then we're going to talk about what that means. We're going to have a conversation about it. So, some of the facts that I wrote down, first of all, y'all tell me, what does dating violence look like? What are different ways, and I'm not talking about specifically, I'm talking about like physically. Is it, when we talk about dating violence or domestic violence, what are we talking about? We know physical violence, but what else?
Verbal.
Verbal? Who said verbal? Okay. Verbal, what else? Mental. Emotional. What else? No, say it. Speak it. Okay. So we know that there's a lot of different kinds of abuse. Verbal abuse is, you probably see that on a regular basis. People talking bad to each other. It could be intimate partner. It does not have to be boyfriend and girlfriend. It could be your best friend. It could be the way you talk to your grandmother. That's intimate violence. That's domestic violence. Mental, physical, emotional. It could even be financial. If somebody in your life is making you do without financially, that's abuse. That's financial abuse, if they have the means. Also, did anybody mention sexual abuse? Sexual abuse. You should have said it. Sexual abuse, it doesn't even have to look like the actual act of sex. It could look like somebody running by the hallway and grabbing your butt. Those are things that you can't do when you're on a job. Young men and young women, that's something that when you're on a job, you could lose your job, potentially lose a lot of money, potentially have a lawsuit. In school, it may just be something that we look at and laugh at, and it seems funny, but in the real world out here, it's something that is considered sexual violence. And also because even at this age, you don't know what other people have gone through. When I read some of the statistics, you'll see how there's probably people in this room that have experienced some of the things that we're talking about. And so that means that somebody that you run by in the hall and hit them on the butt, you don't know what their trauma is with that. So you could be triggering something with them. Also, it could be, somebody mentioned verbal, but it also could be neglect. You know, if you're sitting at home and you're not eating and you got to come to school and eat, that's abuse. If you are, you know, if someone is neglecting you emotionally, that's abuse. So 1 in 3 young people will be in an abusive relationship. That means if we went down this room and counted 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, that means that's a whole lot of people. That would be, what, a third of the room. That means that somebody in this room has experienced some of the things that we're talking about. 33% of adolescents are victims of sexual, physical, verbal, or emotional. That's pretty close to half. 33% is a big number. Meaning that this is something that our classmates are dealing with every day. They're coming to school with all this baggage, and something that you say, you may call somebody fat, or you may say somebody's ugly. You may be triggering things. They may have heard that at home 1,000,000 times, and now you're saying that to them, and now they feel that way all over again. So be mindful of that. And it's not just for students. You may say something like that to a teacher who's just really on the brink, on the edge of things. Maybe she's not being able to take care of things financially, or she just lost a family member, and you come to class and you act a certain way with her or him. That's violence to them. That you don't know what you're triggering. Because it's not just adolescents that are victims of abuse. 25% of high school girls have been abused physically or sexually. So that's a fourth of the people in your high school. That's a lot of people. About how many people in this high school?
About 2,000.
About 2,000. What's the fourth of that? I might want the students to answer. They're quiet. But you can answer. No, you can answer. That's better. Yeah, I knew it was going to be somebody that did math. Thank you. Because I would have been left to figure it out. But yeah. So that means 500 people that you go to school with, or girls, I'm sorry, have been physically or sexually abused. That means it's probably somebody that you know that's not talking about it. A lot of girls ain't going to come to school and talk about that sort of thing. Especially if you know that your friends are not really that understanding about that kind of thing. But it's not only girls, there are boys also. Females between the ages of 16 and 24 are 3 times more likely than everyone to be abused by an intimate partner. So that means females in your age bracket are more likely than somebody that's in my age bracket to be abused. Why is that? Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is, that females in your age range are more likely than someone in my age range?
They're less experienced.
Less experience? What you say, young man? What y'all say? Don't be shy. It ain't no wrong answer. We just talking. So why would a young girl be more vulnerable than me? Naive. That's part of it. Go ahead. Maybe because they're also bashful, they're not likely to talk and express themselves. So if something like that were to happen to them, they may not call the police. Especially if it's an uncle or a cousin or somebody like that. They're probably just gonna keep it quiet. Why would they come and tell when everybody's gonna laugh and maybe they don't even know how to form the words to say this is what happened. So people know this, predators know this. They know. And that's part of the reason why they're in your inboxes and social media and stuff like that, because they know that you don't necessarily have the tools right now to be able to express it. Or if they're in your family, they know that the little sister may not say anything versus the mom who might fight them off. 8 states don't have teen dating violence regulations and stuff, which means, and Arkansas doesn't, which means that it's really hard for someone your age also to go and get like a restraining order or something like that. So, violent behavior often happens between 6th and 12th grade. So that means like if there's a boy or a girl that you see, that you notice has a tendency for violence, that's usually when it starts. If they may not be a murderer, they may not be a rapist, but you can notice certain things about them in their behavior. If there's somebody that's always aggressive or always wanting to fight, or even if that's you, if you know that that's you and you have those tendencies, then it's your responsibility to go and seek some kind of treatment. Go speak to your counselors, go speak to your teacher that you trust, or one of your coaches, or a parent, and let them know so that they can get you the help that you need, because this is where it starts. So if you know that you're prone to violence, or if you know somebody that is, that's a sign that they could potentially be somebody who would be someone who has dating violence tendencies. Okay, this is a hard one. This is not necessarily true for everybody, but 50% of those that have been abused have a real attempt at suicide. So this means that being abused is a risk factor for a lot of things, and one of them is suicide. Because, yes ma'am? She had her hand up. I was like, go ahead. So that means that that's one of the risk factors. That means that because it's difficult to talk about it, because it's difficult to share those kind of things, sometimes people just kind of hold it all in and they can't really deal with it. So that's why it's really, really important to be mindful of a situation that somebody is going through. And I know something, particular about this school here, and I know that y'all recently had situations.
And then go back
And
to
I know
camera
that it's
three.
a touchy subject right now. So I want to be mindful when I'm talking about that, and I want to encourage y'all to be mindful of your classmates and people that are going through situations in the community that they can't handle, and they're going to need support. So even if you don't know if this young lady or this young man has gone through something like that, just be mindful of everybody. So that way you can be sure that you're not offending somebody or you're being in a safe space so that we can bring that 50% number down, the suicide number down to nothing. So people won't feel like that's the only way out. Make a safe space in your conversation. Also be mindful when it comes to sexual violence, be mindful of the pictures and stuff that you share. I used to tell my kids that, when you're getting all those nude pictures and stuff in your inbox or on your cell phone and your messages and stuff like that, at this age, how many of y'all in here are over 18? Anybody? Okay, if you're sending pictures for anybody that's under 18, if you're sending pictures from person to person, what is that considered? If you're not 18, you're not an adult. Child pornography, which means you sending a picture to somebody, you're 15, 16 years old, 17 years old, you're sending a picture to somebody of you naked, and they're sending it around to their friends, they're engaging in child pornography. Somebody else can get, there's predators out here, somebody else can get a hold of your picture, and then you would consider it child pornography. But sending it from person to person at this age is still considered the same thing. So be mindful of that also, especially young men, if you're sharing pictures, if somebody sends you a picture and you're sharing it with your friends, be mindful of that. Because all those things come with you. Yes, I know what y'all be doing because my sons did it. And I told them the same thing. Because when it comes to young women, a lot of times we're protective of young women and what they do because we don't want them to be victims of sexual violence. But when it comes to our young men, we don't want them to, one, be victims of sexual violence, but also be victims of accusations and things like that. That's one of the things I worried about with my boys, is that you have to be careful about what you do and what you engage in so that you don't wind up catching a charge for something that you didn't know what you were doing. So anyway, enough of the preaching. I'm going to do my poetry now. So my poem doesn't necessarily address teen dating violence, but it addresses being a teenager and not making necessarily good choices, but still being able to triumph after those choices. So I want y'all to listen because I'm going to ask y'all questions. We're going to dialogue about it afterwards. I'm going to have to walk around too. I do appreciate y'all listening right now. Okay, so the name of my poem is Medusa. So before I do Medusa, who is Medusa? The one with the hair, with the snakes in the hair? Yeah. Who else said something? A Gorgon. Okay, that's somebody, that's an educator, Yeah, it was a Gorgon. Do anybody know what happened to Medusa? She got cursed? That's what you're going to say? She saw herself, she was put into a castle. Anybody know why she was put into that castle? Yeah, you just looked it up or something? You know that already? Yes, she was sexually abused. And then she was banished. When she went and told that she was sexually abused, the queen banished her to the castle, and no man could look upon her. She made her gruesome looking with hair, snakes, and all that stuff, and no man could look upon her anymore. So that's kind of what happens sometimes when you talk about sexual abuse. You get banished, you get pushed off to the side, nobody wants to look at you no more. We see it all the time in the media. We see it with our celebrities and stuff like that. That's what makes it sometimes kind of hard for young people, men and women, to come forward. Because just like we know of cases like Megan Thee Stallion, we also know that there's cases where little boys have been abused. Some very popular ones that y'all probably know now that don't talk about it because it's not a safe space for them to talk about it. So,
which one is that?
Anyway, so my poem is titled Medusa, Reflections of an Angry Black Girl.
Yeah.
It talks about being a black girl and growing up and dealing with a lot of trauma and how that can come across as being an angry person. But how you sometimes have things that you really are angry about and you just need to be able to place them in the right places. My mic went out. Mic check.
Okay, get off me, get off me, get off me.
Okay. So, I used to do this poem all the time in poetry places and stuff like that, but also like group homes and juvenile detention centers. And usually if I'm in a space that's smaller than this, I'll have people also write their poems or their expressions. So anybody else in here write other than me? Raise your hand if you write, if you journal or you write poems or songs or rap. Okay, you got 1, 2. 2 brave, creative souls. 3, 4. What do y'all write? 5, you write, what do you write? What do you write? You probably write something. A lot of times though, we have imposter syndrome, so that's why y'all get shy when I ask y'all what y'all do, because y'all not confident enough yet to say, I'm a rapper. Because you know that comes with great responsibility, right? So what do you write? Real life situations. That's what I like to write about. Miss Goldie, what do you write about?
Yeah, social actions in real life situations. And sometimes some love.
Sometimes love. I just now got to the space of writing about love. When I was y'all age, I wasn't writing at all. So y'all ahead of me if you write now. I started writing about all the things that bothered me at first. Got all that out, and now I'm in a place where I can write about love. This poem is going to reflect when I was in a place of things that bothered me. Anybody else I forgot that wrote? Oh, back there, what do you write about? You look like you write songs or something. Yeah. You write poems or journal? Journal, okay. And that's all of those are forms of writing. Young man with the hoodie on, the living color shirt on. You write, what do you write? You don't write nothing? Okay. Okay, so let me do my poem, because I'm going to close it down in a little while. And I'm going to try to edit it, so if I forget, y'all forgive me, because it's usually a lot more, a lot more risque.
Yeah.
So, but I'm gonna make it clean and good and good for y'all age. So, I learned to accept the fact that I had an attitude, and I accepted it with no shame. I wore it like a ghetto Olympic gold medal and hoped it would eclipse my pain. Because that was easier than me having to explain and having to replay celebrating birthdays without seeing my dad's face. And it's a shame when you ain't even 8, but you staring at the candle flame, just hoping and wishing that daddy is on his way. And then one day I realized I survived without a single gift, and it made me strong. And one day a DJ saved my life with a song. He told me to hold on, change gonna come. So I started to sing along, and instead of being sad, I started to thank my dad. He had little to give, but he gave what he had. Through disappointment, I learned to accept change. It was through discouragement that I learned to sustain. But what's strange is, as a woman, I discovered my worst fear was that one day I look in the mirror and see my mother's face. And them same mistakes she made engraved in my life like a birthright. Like those braids that she sprayed too tight. And if I could hit rewind, I'd remind her that the future was brighter, but all I knew then was that I looked just like her. I thought I could find solace in the flick of a lighter. It was a constant reminder of what I didn't want to be. My American dream was green with seeds. It was rolled tightly, and I learned to inhale it nicely, but it didn't fulfill my needs. To show the world that a black girl can have the same thing. Forget being a prom queen, I was pregnant as a teen. Facing the same fate as a lot of black girls my same age, writing my name on the application for aid and filling out child support papers as a teenager. Just hoping and wishing he'll be able to become a daddy in 9 months, in 40 weeks, and 280 days when I became a mama before I even became a woman. And you want to know something? When I was younger, I used to feel these butterflies in my stomach when I would see him, and he was so full of lies, so it's no surprise I believed him, and shit, he never knew love either. So it was just easier for him to see himself through my eyes. See, I didn't realize that there was more to me than just blowing my dreams like we were blowing on that green when we ride. And all the lies, I just stopped inhaling, so I wasn't even getting high. Not like I would get. I was just a girl that was chasing that first high that I got on that first night. I was green-eyed in my fragile youth. I just needed to believe that he was speaking the truth. He was buying me all the latest tennis shoes and a double goose that protected me from the cold wind, just not the cold soul of men. And I was too young to know it then, but none of those gifts were nothing compared to what I was giving him, thinking that he was heaven sent. So I sent my letters to the pen for days, thinking he could display his love in bold face print on a page. Don't blame it on my age. It was just a heart that craved affection, not passion. See, I still had baby's breath when my barely right breast started to change. I carried the earth in my womb, but only gave birth to heartache and shame. And nobody fully explained that the pain I had to face in labor couldn't hold a flame to the things I have to face later. The Medicaid can't pay it. Food stamps and WIC won't do nothing if his daddy won't visit. So that's knowledge. Try going to college with a backpack filled with bottles and a reality that some folks couldn't even swallow. I guess you could say I've seen hard times like Ray Charles, and even though he said one day there'll be no more sorrows, I couldn't wait on tomorrow. So I just folded up in my pocket right next to peace. And then they were asking me if I wanted to be free. No, I just wanted one night free without my baby hollering and me arguing with my baby father, and that's what I pledged, to keep taking those steps so I could get ahead. And the same success that encouraged me was what made Truth have the nerve to speak and Rosa to have the courage to stay in her seat. That's what makes me believe that I can see my name beside PhD no matter how long it takes me. See, I'm the strength of the Black family tree, and even Willie Lynch couldn't break me. But there's a part of me that I try to hide because I despise my own vulnerability. It was a world that was slowly killing me, turning me cold. I named this poem Medusa because just like her, when men looked upon me, I'd usually turn them to stone. Thank you. So, I wrote that poem probably when I was probably in my early 20s. And it was right after going through all that stuff that I just talked about. Now it's probably almost 20 years later. I'm still doing that poem. It's kind of sketchy now. I did take out certain things to try to make it politically correct for y'all. But as you can see, I left a lot of stuff in there. So y'all tell me some of the things I talked about in there. What's one thing that you noticed that stood out about it? Relationships suck, you know what you said? Relationships. So yes, I was in a relationship with someone, and we were making grown-up decisions, but not necessarily able to make grown-up or deal with grown-up consequences. We weren't in a position for that. Anything else stood out? Cannabis smoking. So cannabis, it was a way to try to cope. And if anybody in here ever went to any kind of therapy, you know, they give you coping mechanisms and all these kind of things. And at that time, I didn't know what good coping mechanisms were. Just like Mrs. Bastidas, who was just up here talking to y'all, she talked about coping mechanisms and health and stuff like that. I'm into fitness now. I don't take anything, any kind of drug to try to, I don't even really take over-the-counter drugs, to try to stop from dealing with any kind of pain. I just deal with it unless it's physical, hard physical pain. But, but I don't smoke weed or anything like that. At that time, I thought that it was a way to not deal with a lot of stuff. Not to say that there's not medicinal uses for it. I'm not going to get into all that. I'm just going to say, in terms of what I put it in my poem as, it was a negative coping mechanism. And I knew that, I learned that that was not a coping mechanism I wanted to use. What did I say about my mother and father? Did you hear anything about that? Woo! Now ain't that taboo? You can't talk about that. That sometimes your mother relationships or your father relationships are not that good. So sometimes it's easier to lean. Unfortunately for me, I was able to lean on certain people in my community. My mom had her own trauma. As a grown woman, I know that now. As a young girl, I didn't know that. So what it looked like to me is I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that way. And I know that there's somebody in this room that has mama trauma or daddy trauma, and there's always somebody that you can talk to. If you can't go to your mom or dad and say, hey, this is bothering me, find you a teacher or a coach or somebody else in the community. Anything else to that? What did I say about, well, did I seem like I was financially well off? No. Okay. So, being a parent at a young age, I was a teenage pregnancy. Yes, I got my high school diploma. No, I didn't have a job. No, I didn't have a place to stay. No, I didn't have a college degree. What else did I not have? Oh, I didn't have a car. So all those things, if you notice by the end of my poem, the reason why I say it's a story of triumph is because one, I'm still here. I still look halfway decent. But also because I did go to college. So whatever circumstance you're in right now that you don't have control over, and I'm not saying that college is the magic answer for everybody. It could be that you go to hair school, or you do your entrepreneurship, or you build whatever it is that's great that you're going to build. But the thing is, your circumstances don't define where you're going.
That's right.
And I know that there are a lot of people back in my old community that would be looking at me when I showed up pregnant, it was over for me. And that's the way that I felt. Look at Jennifer. Jennifer's pregnant now. That's what I thought in my head. Jennifer's pregnant now. I knew it. She's not going to be nothing. That was only 1 or 2 years of my life that I had to deal with that. Everything after that has been great. As a matter of fact, the son that I'm talking about is 27 years old right now. He lives in Seattle. He's awesome. So that means that there's always opportunity to do better, even after you make bad decisions. If you also notice in the poem, there was some where I blamed the young man, but I also mentioned that he never knew what love looked like either. So now you have two people that are young, that don't know what love is, and that also have trauma, unhealed trauma, trying to live and be with each other and trying to have babies. I'm gonna tell you something, it's hard to have a baby at 35. As a teenager, it feels impossible. You can do it, but it's just gonna slow you down. It's gonna slow everything. When I meet young girls and they're pregnant, I don't try to discourage them and say, you're not gonna make it. You are gonna make it, but it's gonna be a little bit harder now. It's gonna be a little bit more effort. In young men, when you're having a child, it may seem like it's not so hard on you because you don't carry the baby, but you still carry the baby. It's still gonna be there with you. I tell my sons, it's still gonna be something that you're gonna have, that's gonna change your life, and it's gonna slow down a little bit the process. It's not gonna end the process. So, anyway, I think that was it. Is that all I touched on? I also touched on my gift and my ability to write and finding what my greatness is. If I would have never came to Arkansas and fell in with a bunch of beautiful artists and poets and creators and found myself a good tribe of people that's doing positive things, I wouldn't be where I am. So those are the people that changed my life in terms of feeling like I could be something great outside of what I was. When I moved here with none of those things I just mentioned. I moved here because I was hoping to get on my feet. With a baby, with no degree, unmarried, wasn't in the relationship anymore with that guy, and moved here and changed all of that, and also because my circle changed. So I encourage you to be just like you, block people. How many of y'all block people on social media? You see something you don't like and you be like, block, 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 right? Yep, me too. You got to do that in real life though too. You know, if somebody is not on the same path that you want, you got to block that person. And you don't got to do it mean, you ain't got to be like, block. You know, you can just be like, I'm moving around on that person. They don't even have to know that I don't deal with them that much. See them in school, and that's the end of it. Find yourself a crowd that's going to be moving in the direction that you're moving. If I'm an athlete and I want to be like Kobe Bryant, I'm going to hang around the Kobe Bryants in school. I'm not going to hang around the gangsters or the thugs. I'm going to hang around the Kobe Bryant athletes. If I want to be a doctor, I'm going to hang around the doctors in school, or at least people that's going to school that's doing chemistry and biology and all that stuff. So just, like I said, keep your circles tight. Continue to believe in yourself no matter what. Also be careful about your dating and your situation with whoever you're seeing. And, you know, just know that you can make choices right now that make your path easier than my path was. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close. Unless, do y'all have any questions for me? Huh? Thank you. Y'all inspire me. So thank you for that. So if anybody else have a question or comment or anything before I give one last fact and then I'm sit down? Okay. So the last fact that I want to give you, I do have some stuff up here. I mainly put this up here for the adults that's in the room. But I don't know if I mentioned this, but I do the March for Black Women and Girls. We're having one on April the 22nd. You can let your moms know if they want to bring you out, they can bring you out. The reason why I do that march is because I noticed that there was a lot of murders of Black women and girls in this area, and I thought it was only an Arkansas thing, and then I realized it was a nationwide thing, that the numbers have gone up tremendously. Right now, though, Arkansas is number 4 in the nation for murders of Black women and girls. Number 4. Which means that we got a serious problem here. And you have probably been impacted by that in some way, just like the whole rest of the community, because it's impossible to have a number that high, and most of us don't know somebody that has dealt with that. So just be mindful of that when you're out here dating, and when you're, you know, especially if any grown man is coming at you or anything like that, be mindful of the fact that you need to be watching out for these predators and people that don't have your best interest at heart. If you see any signs of any kind of abuse, it's easy to look at the physical abuse and say that that's abuse. It's easy to notice what that is. If somebody hits you in the eye, you know that. You know that that's abuse. But it's difficult to notice when somebody's emotionally or mentally abusing you. And especially if you have that at home. If you got parents that's cussing each other out, it's hard to recognize when you come here if a boyfriend or a girlfriend is cussing you out like that. But be mindful of that. Be mindful. The way that I judge it is I determine how I feel when I'm around somebody. If you're around somebody and you feel terrible every time you're around them, get from around that person. All right, that's it, y'all. Thank y'all.
jazz band play as we can get in line. Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna, I'm sorry. Jazz band. So everyone, slowly. So we're gonna start at the back. Let the adults get their plates first, please, if we can. But let's all stand up slowly. The jazz band's gonna play music. And we're gonna let the adults get in line first. I've said that, we're repeating 3 times. Students. Students. Adults, get in line first. Thank you. I would also like to say thank you to CADC for coming and sharing information regarding utilities, Head Start, commodities. If anyone you know needs any assistance, Central Arkansas Development Council would be where they would need to contact. We have information here. You can contact me, Ms. Washington, at Southwest High School. Also, thank you for the Little Rock Regional NAACP for coming out. We are starting a unit here at Southwest High School. I'm very excited about that. If you're interested in being a member of the NAACP, please reach out to me, Ms. Washington, I'll put your information. And thank you to our partner Trio. We appreciate Trio Educational Opportunity Centers for coming out and allowing information for us as adults so we can be more educated and help. If you're over the age of 19 and up, Trio EOC would be where you need to contact. Please reach out to me and I'll get you information about that as well. I am Ms. Washington. My number is 501-447-9238. You can always email me at dale.washington@lrsd.org. Thank you.
to show, y'all trying to find out what
Just to go back. I don't even know why that was.
John Barrow, everyone got off left for John Barrow. John Barrow to the left of John Barrow. If you live perfectly in. You just give them a...
Guys, y'all awesome.
If you live on Indian Trail, on 18th Street, Dorset, Picard Lake, Tall Pines, Vanderbilt, Florida. The next the John Barrow bus is pulling off.
Alright, this how I need y'all to do for y'all get y'all to play quick. Put the stands on the rack now, and then we'll do everything else after
What you talking about? I say what's some place.
I ain't never heard you play that fast, Adrian.
We got food.
Yeah, bro, let's
James came back and said,
Alexander. The next Otter Creek and Alexander bus to go.